So, you want to learn to crochet, but you have no idea where to start? Well, then you come to the right place, because today I'm going to be going over everything you need to know to start your crocheting journey. My name is Abby, and I've been crocheting for roughly 5 years. And if you are feeling very confused from trying to learn, don't fret. I gave up the first time I tried to crochet. So if you want to learn how to crochet, keep on listening. I hope you enjoy. So what do you actually need to start crocheting? So the only things you really need are 3 things: a hook, some yarn, and a pair of scissors. That is it. You don't need anything else, but there are some stuff that might be nice to have, so let's go over some of those. First of all, I would heavily recommend you invest in some ergonomic crochet hooks. They are great for the hands. You're going to be crocheting up a storm and your hands are going to start hurting pretty quickly. One thing I would really recommend are some darning needles. Every time I say it, my dad says those darn needles. They're used to weave in your ends whenever you finish a project or you're closing something off. This could be done with just a crochet hook, and a lot of people do that, and that works just fine. So this is not an essential, but I would highly recommend it. Stitch markers are where you need to count stitches or you're working in the round. I'll explain that later. And you don't want to lose where your starting point is. Now, I put this in the non-essentials list because there's so many things you could use as a stitch marker. For the longest time, I used a piece of yarn or a bobby pin, a paper clip. It just keeps track of where you started your round or where you started your row. But I will warn you, you will find them all over your floor. If you want to get into the amigurumi side of crochet, which is a Japanese word, I don't know what it means, I'll pop it up on screen, but it's basically crochet stuffies. Eventually you'll build up a yarn scrap collection. You can use that as stuffing, or you could get some fiberfill stuffing, depending on how you feel about that kind of thing. And on the amigurumi topic, you might want to get you some safety eyes, or if you have little ones or don't want to use plastic, you can use yarn to make your eyes, but safety eyes are used to make the eyes or the nose of a lot of your amigurumi plushies. So they come in so many different sizes, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't understand the size names, but you can only get them in a pack with a wide size range, and make sure the backs come with them because they won't stay. That is pretty much all you need, I would say, even in the not so essentials, to start crocheting. Alright, so to do a slip knot, there are 2 terms you need to know: your working yarn and your tail end. The tail end is the unconnected piece of yarn, and your working yarn is the yarn that is attached to your ball or your skein or whatever yarn you're using. So to do a slip knot, so taking your tail end in your right hand, you're going to hold the working end with your middle finger and thumb. Now there are so many different ways to do a slip knot. This is just how I do it. You're going to take that tail end, and if you need to loosen it, you can, and you're going to wrap it from closest to you towards your pinky over your index finger. So you go up and over, and you come back out towards you, and then you're going to tuck that yarn away in between your middle finger and thumb, and then you're going to pick up that working yarn from behind, and you're going to do what you just did with the tail end. You're going to wrap it over your index finger and bring it back to where you were originally holding it, in between your thumb and your middle finger. This loop will go in front of the original loop, and now you're going to take your back loop, the one closest to your knuckle, and pull it up and over that second loop. And then you can pull up with your left index finger and pull down with your middle finger and thumb to tighten, and you have just made yourself your first slip knot. So to attach this to your hook, you just slide it on the hook, and there are several ways to hold a crochet hook. None of them are wrong. You have the knife hold, the pencil hold, but to tighten this loop onto your hook, you're going to pull on the working end. If you need to loosen it, you can pull on the tail end of your yarn. And I actually remembered to press record when I said this. That is fabulous. So to do a chain, which will be the start of any of your stitches, this is commonly called your foundation chain because it's the foundation of your work. To do a chain, this is a right-handed tutorial, by the way, you're going to hold your hook in your right hand in either the knife hold or the pencil hold, doesn't matter, and you're going to hold your working end of your yarn in your left hand. No matter what anybody tells you, there is no one right way to hold your working yarn. Everybody has a different way to do it, and eventually you'll find one that works best for you. If it feels really weird at the moment, trust me, you'll find something that feels comfortable, and over time you'll get used to it. But you're going to take your working yarn and you're going to go from the back of the hook and yarn over. That's a very common term you're going to hear. But you start from farthest away from you and you bring that yarn over the hook and back again. And then you're going to take your slip knot and you're going to pull it towards the hook part of your crochet hook. And if it's loose enough, you may need to loosen it. You're going to pull it over the loop you just created with your working yarn. Or in other words, you're pulling that working yarn through the loop of your slip knot. And so the slip knot should now be a little bit lower and not directly on the hook. And that is how you chain. So the chain does not change after that. You continue to do it the exact same way. You take your yarn from the back, you yarn over back towards you, and then pull it back away from you again. And then you take your chain and you pull it forward towards your left hand and let it slip off the hook, making sure that that working yarn loop that you just created does not fall off of it too. And you keep doing this each time to create a chain. One side note I do want to add, if you knit, typically with knitting, your initial slip knot counts as the first stitch or loop. In crocheting, your slip knot does not count as your first chain. That first yarn over you do counts as your first chain. So if you have to chain 10, that slip knot does not count. And your loop will look kind of like a V. So the part of your chain that looks like a V is your front. And if you turn it over, you got those little bumps on the back. That's how you know that's your back. It's got the little bumps. And you have just created your first chain. And this is the foundation to so many crochet projects, from scarves to clothes to so many other things. I mean, you have just accomplished so much just now. So when it comes to making stitches from chains, your first chain will not count when you make your stitch, because if you were to create a stitch from that loop, you would just undo the loop. If you need to do 10 single crochet stitches, you would chain 11. You will almost always, unless you're doing a bigger stitch, but for your standard stitch, you are always going to chain one more than the amount of stitches you're going to need. So to do a single crochet is your most common stitch and the most basic stitch. So the loop that is on your hook does not count as one of the chains. And you're not going to go into the next chain because that's where the loop on your hook is being worked into. So if you were to go into it, you're just going to undo the loop. So you're going to go to that next one. So the loop just below where your working yarn comes out, you're going to bring your hook from the front and under that top loop. So your hook should be sticking at the back. And then you're going to take your yarn and do what you did to chain. You're going to yarn over, going from the back and over the front. And then you're going to bring your hook through the chain you went through. So when you bring your yarn out and up, you should have 2 loops on your hook. You're then going to yarn over again, and you're going to pull that through both loops on your hook. This may be confusing and it may be really tight at first, but that's okay. Again, you're going to bring your hook through the left side of that V, if you want to see it from another direction. You're going to bring it through that top loop, and then you're going to yarn over, and then you're going to pull it through that V you just came through. So you're going to pull it back. You should have 2 loops on your hook. You're then going to yarn over again and pull through both of those loops. That is how you single crochet. And once you make it to the end of your row, the single crochet is not any different. You insert your hook, you yarn over, you pull it out, you yarn over again, and pull through both loops. And just a side note here, if you want to make another row, you're going to chain 1. So you've just learned how to do that. You're going to yarn over and pull through, and then you're going to turn your work, and then you're going to work into the back of that last stitch you did. You're going to do the same thing. And instead of going through just that one V, if you look from the top of your stitch, you're going to see the top of your single crochet stitches look like V's. So you're going to insert your hook through both of those lines that create that V, and you're going to yarn over, pull it through. You should have 2 loops on your hook now, and you're going to yarn over. You're going to pull through both of those loops, and you keep it going till the end. And I would suggest using a stitch marker at the beginning of each row. That way you don't lose your stitch count. So well done. You've just done a single crochet, and you can do so much with this. You can run with this and create so many things. Okay, this next stitch is called the half double crochet, and I would say it is most common for beanies and sweaters because it has that thickness and it's not super see-through like a double crochet can be, but it's taller, meaning it's a bit quicker than a single crochet. So to do a half double crochet, it has the same movements of a single crochet, but before you insert your hook into your chain or your stitch, you're going to yarn over first, then insert your hook, and you're going to yarn over again, pull it out, you're going to yarn over once more, and pull through all 3 loops. To do it again, you're going to yarn over, insert your hook, you're going to yarn over again, pull your hook out. By pulling, I mean pull it from the back to the front towards you, and then yarn over again and pull through all 3 loops. That is how you do your half double crochet. And for any of these stitches, the method to adding more rows is the same, except like the taller you get, you might need to add more chains just to compensate for height. But I'd say for the half double crochet, it's not any different than the single crochet. Once you make it to the end of your row, you chain 1, you turn your work, and then you're going to go through the same process. To do a double crochet, I would say this one is a bit more difficult, but it is very common for things like bags or adding height. It's used a lot for sweaters if you want a quicker project because it is like double the height of a single crochet. So to do a double crochet, and don't worry if this is stressful, you can watch it over a few times and you can do so much without even needing a double crochet. This is not necessary, but it is very common with more advanced beginner projects or intermediate projects. So to do a double crochet, again with any of these stitches, you start with the same chain. Wait, do you remember that equation from earlier? Well, for a double crochet, it's actually 2 extra chains. And rather than going into that first chain below your hook, you're going to go into the 3rd chain below your hook. You're going to start it the same as you start your half double crochet. So you're going to yarn over, you're going to insert your hook into your chain, you're going to yarn over again, bring your hook back through, and then you're going to yarn over, but instead of pulling through all 3 loops, you're only going to pull through the first 2. So now, after that, you should have 2 loops left, and you're going to yarn over one more time and pull through 2. So to do that again, you're going to yarn over, insert your hook into your chain, yarn over again, pull through, yarn over again, pull through only the first 2 loops, not the last one. Then you're going to yarn over and pull through again. And that is how you do your double crochet. The next thing that is very common when it comes to amigurumi or coasters or anything circular is the magic ring. And this eludes a lot of people. It can be very difficult to understand and difficult to grab a hold of. And there are, again, multiple different ways you can do it. I'll be going over the way I do it. So to do a magic ring, you're going to take your tail end, you're going to put your left index and middle finger together, and you're going to wrap your tail end around your 2 fingers twice. So you go, starting from closest to you, you're gonna go up and over once, and then up and over again. So you should have 2 big loops around your fingers. You're then going to take your crochet hook, your palm should be facing down. You're gonna take your hook and you're gonna bring it under that first loop and over that second loop. You're then going to pull that second loop under the first loop, and you're then going to twist your hook towards the left in a clockwise motion, which will kind of cross it, and then you're going to pick up that loop again, and this might be a bit difficult and tight, but you're going to pull it through that little cross loop you just made. And now you should be able to slide your 2 fingers out, and you should have a magic ring. And to secure this, you're then going to chain 1, and that should secure your magic ring. And I'd say the most common things you'll see is to start with 6 single crochet or 8 single crochet. To do that, you hold your loop in your left hand and your tail end goes off to the right. And then you're going to do a single crochet just like you would into a chain into that magic ring. So you're going to insert your hook into your magic ring. It's going to feel really weird because it's so big. You're going to insert it, yarn over, pull through back up, and then you're going to yarn over again and pull through both of those loops. And you've just done a single crochet in a magic ring. You're going to do that however many more times is called for the magic ring. Let's say we're doing 6 single crochet. So you would do 6 single crochet into this magic ring, and it's going to look really weird because it's so big. But then you are going to take that tail end and you're going to hold your single crochets and you're going to pull on that tail end, and you should see your magic ring start to close up. Now, I urge you to be careful, depending on the type of yarn you use, not to pull too tight because you can break the yarn if you pull it too tight. This leads us to our next stitch, which is the slip stitch. This is the most common finishing stitch. A lot of times you'll see this as part of what's called fastening off in a crochet pattern, which is basically just finishing your round or whatever and cutting your yarn. It is very common to do a slip stitch, but it's also as common to not do a slip stitch when it comes to your magic ring. So if you want to do a slip stitch to make like a perfect circle, basically what it does is it just brings your first stitch and your last stitch together. And to do a slip stitch, you're going to insert your hook into that first stitch. And you're going to yarn over and pull through, but you're not going to yarn over again. You're just going to pull through the next loop. So it's like a single crochet, but you don't do that last yarn over when you pull through. So you insert your hook into your stitch and you yarn over and you pull through the stitch and your loop. And that is how you do a slip stitch. That's how you seal off any of your rounds. One last thing to fasten off or to finish off is just to cut your yarn and finish your work. So to do that, you just cut your yarn. So to do that, with your yarn still on your hook, you just cut your yarn to whatever desired length you need, and then you pull up your hook from your work, and that yarn will slip through the loop and out, and you just pull on that end to tighten it, and that is how you fasten off. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this helpful, please consider liking and subscribing, and I hope to see you all next time. Bye.